Hi, everyone. A very warm welcome to Corvinus University of Budapest on a somewhat grey day here in Budapest. I hope that you find our session today useful. We will try and give you some helpful information to help you manage your Stipendium Hungaricum application to Corvinus University of Budapest. My name is Marianne Baker, and I'm head of international student recruitment and admissions at the university. And I have with me one of our Stipendium Hungaricum students here today. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, of course. Hello, everyone. My name is Sidra Samara. I am a third-year student here in Corvinus University as business and management student, and I'm a scholarship holder.
Wonderful. What we will try and do is talk you through what the university has to offer, what our city has to offer to you as potential students. We will, of course, talk about our requirements, and we will also point you to information available to you through Tempus, which I believe is the most relevant and important source of information for you right now in these early stages of your application period. And I will come to explaining the reasons why I say that. In our first slide, first of all, you can see a couple of our students. Our images are never stock images. We always work with our own students. And this was a photo shoot not too long ago. This is typical of our university. We often involve our students in our communications and promotional work. They are set on a beautiful bridge called the Liberty Bridge. And just behind in the picture, you can see a building. It's not exactly in focus, but that is actually the main building of Corvinus University, right on the bank of the River Danube on the Pest side. We can move to our next slide. This is our key message to you. Be bold and join us. Now, being bold means a lot in this context. You will really have to get your documents and information together to make sure that you make a good application. But we also want to suggest that, yes, we are a selective and competitive university ourselves. It's not just a program that's competitive. Getting into Corvinus can also be a challenge. So have that faith, have that braveness and courage to make that leap. We always emphasize as part of our communications work that we are Hungary's leading university in business, economics, management, and social sciences. This is our focus. There are many great institutions in Hungary, which are also part of the Stipendium Hungaricum program, many of which have several faculties, lots of departments, and lots of different subject areas. With us, the courses that we offer are focused in these three areas. And other universities may well offer these subjects, but I would like to state that we are the leading institution for several reasons, and those reasons will unfold as we work through this presentation. We can move on to our next slide. I wanted to mention the fact that since the summer of 2024, we have a new international rector, a new leader, and we have been working with our leader to create a completely new and very ambitious, very dynamic agenda for the university. And we have formulated fresh mission and vision messages which we want to emphasize to you as part of our presentation. On the next slide, we will also talk about our values. These are all part of our new bridge strategy as set out by the new international rector of the university. Collaboration, systems thinking, excellence and integrity are values which are carried through and come through as part of our teaching work and all the activities that you engage in as a student at Corvinus. Moving on, maybe a couple of words about the fact that as a university or as an educational institution, we have existed since the 1920s. So we have been around for a good 100 or so years. The building is the one that you saw in the first image. This building was actually built as a customs exchange center. At a time, the end of the 19th century, when this area of the city was becoming very much of a commercial business hub, and it only later became the home for our university, but it's perhaps befitting that such a bustling and important commercial hub became the home of the leading business university for Hungary. Now, important to mention that this long-standing tradition gives us status, it gives us prestige. I hope you can confirm in your experience, Sidra, when you walk through the walls of our old building, you certainly have that sense of...
Yes, of course. It's like the most beautiful building, I think. And I have seen many universities in Budapest, and I would, not because I'm studying here, but I would say that the E building, the main building, is the most beautiful one. It has the most historical interior that I've ever seen.
Yes, and you know, that's just a manifestation of the work, the academic work, of course, that goes on within those walls as well. And we have other campuses, or buildings, let's say. We are not a typical campus university in the sense that we have a small group of buildings here on the Pest side of the city, but we also have another building across the bridge on the other side of the city in the Buda side. So we will show you those images as well. We have the modern kind of state-of-the-art side to it all too. In this slide, we are emphasizing our most important accreditations and international networks. This is what comes with our status and our established presence as the countries and increasingly the regions leading university in our subject areas. AACSB and AMBA are coveted accreditations by many business schools. They put us amongst the top 2% of business-focused institutions. I'm not sharing a secret, perhaps, when I tell you that we are also aiming to achieve EQUIS accreditation, which would give us what's called Triple Crown status amongst the business universities globally. We are also part of the important SEMS network. Look into it if you are not aware of it. The relevance of this is that the network we have is a truly global, very high profile network of universities, and not just the universities, but their alumni and their corporate partners. So we provide opportunities for our students via this network, which has members in Australia and Singapore, others in Europe, in the UK, and beyond in the United States. moving on, this is where I always say that my heart melts when I talk about Budapest. Sidra, perhaps you might want to say a couple of words about your experience of Budapest and whether you have visited before, or you had visited before you started your studies here, or was it the first time that you saw Budapest when you came to study here?
Actually, I came here to study while I was in high school still.
Okay.
Yes, so I have been in Budapest for almost 5 years now, and I don't know what to say. I have visited a lot of cities, even in Europe, and always for me, I say Budapest is the most beautiful one. So I have seen Paris, I have seen Milano. It doesn't even compare. And even as a student, it made it really easy for me to.
I think that's an important point, that it's not huge, but it's still a world-class
Yes.
kind of very cosmopolitan city, but it's very easy to navigate, and with a great public transport system, for example. And there are many other points here to emphasize that it is a key business hub with 150 plus multinationals, many of whom are partners of the university. And I will talk a little bit more about that in a slide later. It is also home to many innovative startups. And if you check out our alumni stories on our website, or if you check YouTube for our alumni videos, you will see some truly inspiring stories about people who made their education here at the university and then moved on to creating really exciting businesses, many of which started as small enterprises but have grown into remarkable business operations. So we hope to provide that opportunity, that journey, that pathway to our students who come here. Yes, it's a cosmopolitan, vibrant atmosphere here in Budapest, where English is widely spoken, and it has been voted as one of the best student cities in Europe, as measured by a platform called Campus Advisor. If we move on to our next slide, this is where we come to my earlier point about those multinational corporate partners that we build and nurture relationships in the interest of our students. There are some big names here, many of whom signed agreements with the university recently. We collaborate with them so that they can inform our curriculum to ensure that what we teach is relevant to their recruiters and to their operations. They also contribute to our students' learning through providing lots of case studies. They often provide internships, and we also hope to pass on students to them as graduates to become their employees. I don't know, Sidra, if you've had the chance to participate, for example, in the Careers and Business Festival that the university holds.
I did multiple times.
So tell me a little bit about that. What was your experience there?
So basically, we had this kind of festival. It's held in E-building, the main building, and all the companies have a representative that visit the festival for 3 days. And you can go and you can ask about the careers, how can you get an internship, what are their main requirements. And it's really helpful for second and third year students because you can actually start preparing for what you need to get an internship when you need it.
Yeah, Very good. So yeah, certainly something I would emphasize. It happens at the beginning or close to the beginning of every semester. So don't miss out on that chance. We also have a careers office, by the way, who kind of coordinate the activities around building careers for our students, and they develop and look after these relationships, and they offer many services to our students around CV building, interview skills, careers planning, etc. Moving on. Just a few numbers to give you a sense of, for example, our size. So I mentioned that we are a very kind of focused, a specialist institution. So we have around 8,500 students. There are many universities that are smaller and many that are as big as cities with, I don't know, 30 and 40,000 students and lots of faculties. We are medium-sized. And I don't know, as an employee, I feel very comfortable working in this site. It's possible to know people, it's possible to build relationships, and it's sort of easy, fairly easy to navigate. As you see, I mentioned 4 buildings. There are 3 here on the Pest side and 1 across the Danube, like I mentioned, and you will see a few images of those very soon. There are also dormitories. We will come to talking about accommodation shortly. And we have a growing number of alumni club members who also increasingly play an important part in our current students' lives, because we invite them back for sessions where you can learn from their journey. That's just one example in the areas in which we cooperate with our alumni. If we move on, I promised to show you some more images. So, for example, the image on the right, or at least when I look at the image, it's on the right. It's Building C, which is where we are sitting right now. There are offices, classrooms, auditoriums in the C building, and also it also hosts our library, which is interesting because so many other university students come here to study. So I think it's a preferred location for some of the students from the medical university, even from the technical university across the bridge. So it's a nice point for socializing with other university students as well. And in the next slide, you will see an image of our Gellért campus, which is apparently one of Hungary's most sustainable and state-of-the-art buildings. Have you been to this building, or have you used it, Sidra?
Yes, of course. Actually, if I remember correctly, it has been opened this year, or
a little bit. I think it's been over a year now. So I think it was 2024, perhaps, or yeah, I think it was 2024.
Yeah, so it wasn't open long ago, and it was different from the other campuses we can see. And it's large, it's very comfortable for students. I have been studying there a lot. There is the most beautiful scenery there, and there is also a library that we can study in this view.
Yes, and at the top, or in one of the towers, there are also student rooms. Very difficult to get into, hugely oversubscribed, but we try and cater for our Stipendium Hungaricum students in different ways, and I can tell you a little bit more about that too later. Moving on from Gellért campus then, yes, so accommodation, exactly the next point. So we have other dorms as well, and they offer varying levels of comfort. The most important thing is that you are safe and have access to accommodation when you apply to us. So by the time you receive the good news that you are nominated, you get through our entrance exams, you are given the scholarship by Tempus Foundation. We liaise with you and inform you as to what we can do for you. But it's very important also to emphasize that dorms are not the only possibility for our scholarship and self-funded students. The university does a lot of work with private providers to ensure that you have access to information about options, other options and opportunities. So on our website, under the English version, obviously, under the application menu point, you will find accommodation as one of the titles. And if you click on that and scroll down, you will find a whole list of providers of different accommodation options, which have been vetted and checked by our accommodation staff. So we try and ensure that what we share with you is of good quality and where you can safely make bookings if necessary. It's also very helpful for planning purposes for you to look at that source of information so that you understand what the living costs are exactly. So that's about accommodation, and then we can move on to plenty of opportunities for extracurricular activities. This image is actually from the Gellért campus too. This is the climbing wall. I think there is a great gym in that building, which our students use. But that's just one thing. You know, I also want to emphasize that we have lots of clubs and societies and activities that international students can take part in. I don't know what you do, Sidra, for your
actually, unfortunately, my major is pretty intense.
Okay.
So, yes. So
fair enough.
Yes. So I only had an opportunity to visit clubs like the investment club. Yes.
Investment club. There you go. So that's very much to do with your major and
Yes.
your sort of business-minded thinking. I heard yesterday from a student that she was part of a diplomacy club. So, and she studies international relations. So many of the additional activities and clubs are to do with your studies. But of course, you can also relax every now and then. Maybe not Sidra because she's a high achiever, but yes, there is scope for fun too. And the city itself gives many opportunities. Moving on from extracurricular, on this slide, the point I want to make is that for Hungarian students who apply to us, this is the university in the country that is the most difficult to get into. So there is a very complicated points system. And the point is that the students who come here come with serious talent and the serious intent to do well. So I want to sort of encourage you and suggest to you that if you are joining us, you are joining a truly inspiring environment in terms of the talent that surrounds you. And many of our students take part in competitions, lots of times international competitions, and there are lots of news stories on our website that you can see about our students traveling all over the world, winning competitions or achieving very significant good positions against very big name universities. Okay. Next slide, please. Right, time to talk a little bit about our programs. We do have a preparatory program here, but it's not offered through the Stipendium Hungaricum program. What we want to focus on is our bachelor's and our master's provision. Yes, PhDs are also available, but there the requirements are so complex and so individualized that we won't talk too much about those. My suggestion is that you follow the Tempus guidelines, because that's the first and most important threshold for you to sort of step over in terms of submitting your application. So first of all, let's look at the bachelor's programs. I think in our next slide, we will see a list of the bachelor's courses. These are the 8 English language programs which are offered to international students, and they are available through Stipendium Hungaricum 2, Applied Economics, Business and Management, International Business, Data Science in Business, Business Informatics, PPE, and Communication and Media Science and International Relations. Now, the programs which are BAs, which is Communication and International Relations, for these 2 courses, we have an oral entrance interview. And for the others, we have a written maths test, which you need to attend. And I will tell you a little bit about the timings of those tests. For PPE, we have both the maths test and the interview. That's the only course where those 2 requirements are at play. For each of the courses, you need to show evidence of your English. And you need to do that in the form of an official certificate. So it can be an IELTS certificate, it can be a TOEFL certificate, and there are many other types of English tests which we accept. A full and comprehensive list can be found on our website. Now, what I want to emphasize is that the first thing for you to do is actually, of course, when you submit your application, make sure to follow very closely the Tempus requirements. Because, and this is what my admissions colleagues tell me, everything that Tempus asks for, and if you submit successfully and correctly, that's also good for us. So we don't have additional document requirements. So make sure to get it right in the first phase before your nomination, because actually, even before the nomination process by the partner country, Tempus will check your application for technicalities. I think they call it a technical check, whereby they simply look at whether you have submitted everything that they asked for, whether they are in the correct format, have they been translated. So pay very, very close attention to the requirements in the call for application document, which you can find, on the Tempus website. I don't know if you have a little bit of advice on this, Sidra. Do you remember this period of having to submit your documents?
Yes. We had to, for business administration and management, we had to submit an English certificate, the IELTS certificate, and we also had to do the mathematical entrance exam.
Yeah.
And this is why I had to actually study for 3 months to get the IELTS certificate, because the required level was B2, if I remember correctly. But other than that, the other documents are pretty accessible. Your high school certificate, everything was pretty easy other than that.
Okay, and another important point here, sometimes, some of you might still be at school. And of course, the Stipendium Hungaricum application deadline is mid-January. So what if you still don't have your high school certificate? Well, don't worry. Obviously, you can't produce that at this stage, but what you can and must do is submit a declaration that you will be in the position to submit your certificate when it's issued. And if the declaration is there, then that doesn't sort of jeopardize or harm your application in any way, because it's there. And I heard from admissions colleagues that many students immediately lose their place and chance if they don't follow, for example, this very simple instruction that if you don't have it yet, just explain why in the form of a declaration. The other thing my admissions colleagues told me is that make sure to write, for example, your motivation letter in English. I heard that some students write it in their mother tongue and expect Tempus Foundation and the other sort of stakeholders in the process, like, for example, our admissions team, to understand that. And we can't guarantee that. So pay attention to these very simple little things. The translations of documents, for example, so they just need to be translated and they need to be official translations. That's also a technical point that people slip up on, believe it or not. Okay, so we talked a little bit about the entrance exam process for bachelor's. Let's look at what happens at master's level. We have, it's not a complete list of programs here, it's program families. And the numbers you can see is the number of programs within those program families that are available through Stipendium Hungaricum. You can find a full list of courses on our website and also in the Stipendium Hungaricum Dream Apply platform, where, of course, you make your application. And I see someone commented here in the chat that they are really worried about credit recognition. So that's a really good point, which I want to focus on. Yes, we do have a very rigorous credit recognition process at the university for master students. And I recommend that you study very carefully the information presented on our website about this in advance of you putting in your application, because you will improve your chances of being accepted when the time comes if you have assured yourself that the credits that you studied in your first degree are in line with the requirements of the intended program that you want to study at Corvinus. Okay, now also pay attention to the fact that there are 1-year and 2-year programs in our portfolio. When you apply for a 1-year program, credit recognition is even more important, because our expectation is that you will have studied a lot of relevant courses carrying the correct credits for those very specific subject areas. With a 2-year master's, there is a little bit more wiggle room, because in a 2-year program, the first year tends to be more of a general introduction to the subject area, and the second year tends to be some kind of specialization. So choose carefully and make sure to do a lot of advance work. Don't wait for us to tell you, because you will reduce your chances of actually getting through the process. In addition to credit recognition, you also need to think about the exams requirements for some of the courses. There is a type of exam called A type, the other programs B type. Now, on our website, this is explained very clearly. One type of exam is more maths heavy, more kind of quantitative content. that it focuses on, and the other is more for kind of communications, more social sciences type programs where maths doesn't play such an important part. The good news is this, and this is true, by the way, of the bachelor's programs too, and the entrance exams. There are practice materials available on our website. So one more thing that you can do in advance, perhaps only when you know that you get nominated by your sending country. But if you are extremely diligent, then you can start looking at all of that now. Otherwise, the exam period for Stipendium Hungaricum students is basically during April. So we try and process all the nominated applications in April for entry requirements, for entrance exams. And perhaps this is a really good point at which I can also mention that certain qualifications will give you an exemption from the entrance exams. So check out yet again our website for the lists of exemptions. I'll give you one example, GMAT exam, or I mentioned those accreditations, the AMBA and AACSB accreditations. If you come from a university that is accredited by either of those two bodies, and if you have a degree which is classified good, then that can also be an exempting factor from entrance exams. So look at this info in preparation for that exam period, and ensure to submit the relevant documents for Tempus and for us to see that you have those qualifying and exempting documents. For some master's programs, there is only written test, but there is also an oral interview with the course leaders. Those, they don't ask for things that we will teach you, but we will definitely be looking for a general good awareness of the issues within the given subject area. And we will also probe into your motivations and your ambitions. So that's the best way to prepare for interviews. Okay, so if we move on. Yes, I mentioned the PhDs. So I don't have detailed information here. I want to point you to both the Tempus guidelines in relation to PhDs and to the university's websites and or web pages, I should say. You can also contact our graduate school for information in relation to your intended research topic, for example. We can move on, and I think basically here you will see information that I have covered while we were talking about the program portfolio. But just to re-emphasize, the admissions process on the university side takes place in April. We sort of get the results in May. There is a credit and a diploma recognition process, which will hopefully conclude June, July, in the case of students who are actually given the decision by Tempus early June-ish that they can receive the scholarship. And then the university will issue an unconditional letter of acceptance, which Tempus will work with to give you the document that will allow you to enter the country, I believe. And then, of course, enrollment takes place in September. The application platform is open, and it will be open for about another month until the 15th of January. I don't know, Sidra, if you might want to say any thoughts, any comments, any good advice for candidates around the admissions process.
Yes, so of course, maybe the main thing that I would say that please prepare your documents as listed, because I had to participate in some activities where we had to see the documents for the people enrolled this fall semester, and unfortunately, most of the students didn't read the requirements. Some of them only came with their only passport.
Right.
Yes, so no enrollment forms, no signs, nothing.
Okay.
So I would really emphasize, if you want your process to go as smooth as possible and you don't want to come multiple times, read the documents, see what you need, and please bring everything with you.
Very good. Yet again, those documents, that's the nitty-gritty. As they say, the devil is in the detail. So go through that call for application document super carefully with your highlighter and etc. Make lists for yourself. Okay, let's move on to the next slide. This slide goes through the entrance exam system, which I actually talked you through, just checking if I may have missed anything that I must mention. Type A, Type B interview. Yes, so the International MBA, which I'm sure will be a popular program for Stipendium Hungaricum applicants. It's an excellent course. 1 year. We are now only offering the 1-year program. You need to have at least 3 years of work experience. So be mindful of that. So your CV needs to reflect that. We don't have a written test, but we have an interview, and you will also be given an essay task by the course leaders, and the essay will be reviewed as part of the decision-making process. We can go on. This slide talks about the program itself, which you already know. If you are in this webinar, you will have looked into this. This is not the first time that you hear about the scholarship itself, some key information about the funding, about who maintains it. And of course, a very important part of this is that it's bilateral. The partner countries, which are all listed on the Tempus website, of course, have significant expectations at the start of the program. They are the first filter after the technical check as to whether to put your application forward. So I also want to encourage you not only to read the Tempus website, but to drill down to your country's nominating body and see what information they publish as to how they select. And it is a very selective program. We will see some numbers in a minute. Do you have any thoughts around this area, the kind of initial phase of being nominated? Did you have to meet any special requirements from your country?
Actually, the requirements from my country were basically, since I'm from Syria, they were basically about the health documents.
Okay.
So I think all scholarship holders, potential scholarship holders, will have to go through this, but you need to do a health examination even after you arrive to Hungary. You will have to get your vaccines. You will have to provide every health document that ensures that.
I have some good news, actually. This is something that my admissions colleagues emphasized to me. So in the past, the medical certificate was part of the initial application. That has now changed. My understanding now is that the medical certificate will only come into play when you know for sure that you are given the scholarship. So the stress of the medical story is taken out of the initial part. It will come later.
That's a
So
huge,
which is a really
yes.
good thing, because you can focus on the academic and administrative side of
Mhm.
things rather than worrying about your health certificate. But thank you for mentioning it, because otherwise I would have forgotten to mention this important change. So let's move on to the next slide here. Yes, this is where I just need to emphasize that it's a huge program, 30 Hungarian higher education institutions. There are 80 programs, over 100 sending countries, and already over 10,000 students studying in Hungary with the scheme. And yes, a lot of the students are happy. So a very high percentage say that they would choose Hungary again. There is a very regular feedback opportunity where students have a say as to what they like, what they don't like, etc. Okay, lots of graduates. So all those people are, alumni forever. And we organize many alumni hub events around the world. We've started, we had one in Istanbul, we had one in Germany, we are planning one soon for London. So it's great to become and remain a part of that network as you graduate. Let's move on. This is the scary bit. So in the last cycle, there were 80,000 applicants, and you can see that the numbers who actually get the nomination, who go through the entrance exam successfully, and who finally are allocated a scholarship place are significantly lower. So guys, there is a lot of competition, and I do wish you very good luck with the process. And my best advice is that, those details I mentioned, the little things, the documents, the precise attention to detail, give yourselves the best chance and do all your research in advance. Don't get caught out by silly little mistakes. If we move on, a little bit of information about what's provided. Obviously, tuition is waived for you because the Hungarian government sort of covers. You receive a monthly stipend, which is not a huge amount. You are not going to be able to accommodate yourself from this amount of money, but I think it's an important contribution. But there needs to be some investment on your families, on your own side, for your studies. There is also an accommodation contribution. Medical insurance is provided. So it's a truly comprehensive and a wonderful opportunity. Let's move on. And yes, Dream Apply, I'm sure you've been there. Perhaps you've already submitted the applications. What I can see in the system is that, yes, the applications are coming in. And yet again, I think we will see an increase in the number of applicants. And I'm not at this point convinced that we will get more places, which is just another reason for me to emphasize really pay attention to getting it right first time round. Let's see if we have anything else. Some tips here. Writing your details correctly as on your official documents. Provide as much as possible up front. Priority, 2 choices through Stipendium Hungaricum when you choose courses. So and the order is important. So whatever you submit by the deadline, you won't be able to change the your priorities. So you need to think carefully what you place first and what you place second. there is no way back later in the process. Next slide, please. The presentation, by the way, was put together by one of my student colleagues, Serena, whom you know, I'm sure, Sidra.
Yes.
And Serena is studying on the, she's from Albania. She's also a Stipendium Hungaricum student. And she studies on this particular program. And she highlighted that she recommends that you study the details that we publish on our website. You can see the exact details, you know, the length of the course and the number of the semesters, etc. And then you can also find the actual program specification. So she circled a link there which takes you to the minute details of the course, and she is the type who is extremely thorough. So there you go, she encourages you to follow suit. So you can find the relevant information about all of the programs in the same way on the website. If we move on from this slide, yes, here is a little reassurance. So we have seen many students who unfortunately did not get nominated by their sending countries, or who were nominated, were then successful in the Corvinus entrance exams, but then did not get allocated a scholarship place by the Tempus Foundation. So those students we always communicate with and say, if you are able to come to Corvinus as a self-funded student, we will welcome you with a 20% discount on your first year's tuition fees, as a bit of a just as a helping hand, really. You know, if you lose out on a scholarship place, we will still value your application and commitment to Corvinus. And we have seen about, I think, 50 students last year who availed themselves of this opportunity. So bear that in mind as an option and discuss this with your family. If they are able to put up the funding for you, I think it's a great option. And yes, we are here with open arms for self-funded students too. And we will communicate with you if you are in this particular situation through the application platform. So just wait for the prompt if and when the time comes. Next slide, please. Yes, this is the end now. So we have got to the end of the slides. Here you can just leave your details and you will receive regular newsletters if you wish through the QR code. And we have 5 minutes, so I'm just going to check the comments and questions that were submitted to see if we can answer any of those. So I can't answer admissions questions here. We don't have the scope. I'm not a program director. I'm not even an admissions officer. So you need to do your research as to what you want to study, about the requirements and what you need to submit. And then you need to take that leap of faith and make the application. Then we will assess you. So we can't pre-assess in the case of the number of applications that we get. It's just not realistic, which is why we publish as much information as possible, and which is why we, for example, deliver this webinar to point you to the sources of information that can guide you and hold your hand. Yes, someone is commenting about the credit requirement. So I think I gave you some really detailed advice as to checking the credit requirements. There's a really helpful, very detailed. So, you know, take a deep breath, allocate some time for yourself and read through the credit stuff. Duolingo accepted, indeed it is. It is a recognized English language test, so you can use that. Just make sure to achieve the scores that we publish on the website. It basically needs to be B2 for bachelor students. Master students, however, do not need to submit an English language certificate because we check your English knowledge in different ways through the admissions process. Okay, someone is asking about PhD, so I apologize, but I don't have detailed stuff on that. So I want to refer you to our website for PhD requirements. It's not so much GPAs that we look at, it's your performance in your entrance interview, and entrance exam, if your course requires a written exam. So don't get too hung up on your GPA. Okay, I think that concludes the number of questions and comments that we are able to respond to. I don't know, Sidra, if you have a closing message for the candidates.
I would just say good luck in your admissions, and if you happen to come to Budapest, you will enjoy studying in Corvinus, and you will build the most beautiful community, and you will meet a lot of international and Hungarian students that you will enjoy your time with, and I hope you all the best.
Wonderful. Thank you very much indeed. Goodbye and good luck.